Who's tough to interview? Who's like a bad,
like
not like a
Jared
Robert Downey.
We're not
Jr.
Jared Leto. We're not Jared Leto. Yeah.
If you were, that'd be a
Robert
whole lot
Downey.
cooler. This would be a whole lot cooler right now.
Nah,
He's not cool.
Nah,
He's
dude.
not. Cool.
I don't think
No, Jared Leto's. So you're the wrong age. See, if you're as old as me, he'd be the coolest guy on earth.
He looks like he's a strange dude.
Strange guy. Just get it.
He's like a Joaquin Phoenix type. Like
we're
there's
gonna
nothing
edit this in.
relatable.
This will be on the TikTok.
Yeah,
this will be on the
send it to-
TikTok, and I'm sending it to him because I'm on. He's still the coolest guy. Jordan,
Really?
Jared Leto?
Was he ever the coolest? Like,
dude, there was an MTV show with him and Claire Danes when you were not even born, in like '94.
he's that old. Well,
And
he's
he-
50. He looks
Yeah,
but
thirty.
getting
and he
older
had
is cool.
He
Like,
had
let
this
it happen.
denim jacket. I think it was denim, but it had the fur collar,
Yeah.
and he was dope. And nobody had that at the time.
Okay.
And he was the only person confident enough to wear it, even though it was just a TV character.
maybe.
And like, yeah,
mean-
I'm gonna get you the show. It's anyway, Claire Danes, him.
We'll check it out.
It was on MTV. That's all I remember. So where did the name UpDating come from? Because I want to say undating. Every time I see it,
Undating.
I want to say undating. Where's UpDating?
I think the original name is more around like you're updating the audience with what's going on while you're on this date, right? Or
Yeah.
and like dating needs an update sort of thing.
But I feel like we just also thought the name was cool.
The
Like the
name,
name,
yeah.
I think the name, and I actually don't remember the exact transaction or even what it was, but we were literally going over names and like, just like updating. But then after the fact, we're like, oh, also, yeah, like the show, you're kind of giving an update throughout. But the name is just, it's a cool name.
The name has been one of the blessings since day one. Like people just get it, you know, and it sounds cool. It doesn't sound like a tacky dating thing, right? Like updating, you know, it's like Nike. Gatorade. Updating.
It's fun. It's also broad, right? It's
Yeah.
it's not like overly specific. It's like we also just believe in the name. Like I love the name. I would do anything with the name. Like I just like it just makes you looking at it makes you excited. That's I think which is hard. I think it's the hardest thing almost sometimes to hit.
Yeah.
But we didn't intentionally just happen. It's organic.
I do remember one tiny anecdote. I do remember right before we started, we were talking about like, should we just call it Date Night Live? And then on the phone, I'm like, yo, we will never, like, we both said at the same
we
time, we're
both
like,
did.
wait, what are we thinking right now? Date Night Live? That would have been the lamest, most ridiculous,
Any-
like date night.
ridiculous.
So I thought
lame.
it's the news. Like
Yeah,
I'm turning
Date
in
Night
for-
Live?
I
Yo,
hate
that's
any-
maybe some
horrible.
child predators.
We would-
maybe some
we would
murder,
still have, like-
true crime. Date Night Live.
It does sound like
We,
that.
we would still have 30 followers if that was the name, even with the content.
Would have never
yeah.
worked. Even with
Yeah.
great content, that is lame enough to ruin them. You could make George Clooney lame with the name Date Night Live. Like it's just not the vibe.
I don't think you can make George Clooney lame.
Yeah, he's cool, that guy. That
No,
guy's
you
really
can't. That's
cool.
what I'm saying though. Like that's how
Yeah.
bad that name is. Like
So getting into you guys and your background and thinking through, it's a pretty cool setup. The show is cool. Like I said, for a Gen Z audience show, I know more about your show than most, and definitely your social. So like, you're like 20s.
Millennial, Gen Z. you know.
Dude, you're not millennial, man. Like,
We're-
on.
Thank
oh,
you.
wow,
what are
that's
you
a
like?
compliment.
What are you, 22?
I'm
What's your audience?
I'm
Not
on the
you,
other
your
side.
Audience.
The
Your
audience.
audience.
You're
Who's
right about
watching
that.
this? 22,
Yeah.
I
23?
think 22 to 35.
It
In
is-
person, it's older, for sure.
No, it's definitely the
Yeah.
good. Like the reality is, like our core demo is 22 to 25, but we do get a lot of we do get random cities where it's like a lot of older people there. Like you do like Rhode Island, like you get
Dude, whoever's left in Rhode Island after 20,
Yeah.
there's a real problem.
Yeah, that's
exactly,
true, too.
exactly.
You know, like
Unless you're in Newport.
so. That's not Rhode Island. That's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, no. So getting into that's my background, right? Like I'm
Okay,
from
yeah,
Rhode
I love
Island.
this.
I've been
I
to
like
college
that.
everywhere. I lived in
I
Finland.
like this mic, too.
You know, yeah, he's got good stuff.
Yeah.
So you start to dig in, man. You go back to college and you think about like playing around in an entrepreneurship space.
right.
Were you creating content then, or were you really like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur?
I was creating content then. I did a website my freshman year. I just wanted to do something in media, like something with content, telling a story. And I did a website. It was like a comedy sports website. Freshman year, it was called IceTheKicker.com. And we would just make up like crazy headlines about Michigan football. And we got no views. And then
Where were you this year? Connor.
Well, with Michigan,
You couldn't
I
have
think?
made up the Connor Stallions.
I mean,
show.
the Michigan. Oh, the Connor Stallions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look,
You could have been
for
the
you,
guy.
that's a Michigan like inside.
You could have
joke,
been
yeah.
the guy.
Not in on that one, man.
You got to watch football.
But yeah, it was always dabbling, always creating stuff. Yeah, just and honestly, and similar to Brandon, like just never like rules. You know, I never want to work for someone else.
So why'd you go to college?
Why'd I go to college?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, looking
Didn't want to
back,
work for someone else.
Had to, man.
Fastest route to work for
Right.
someone else, go straight to college.
That's true. It's a good point. I mean, I think I did want like the experience, you know, the personal growth side of it. I don't, and even looking back, I don't think there's one thing from one class that I learned anything from. So it's more like the social element.
You need it.
Yeah.
You need day jobs too. We both had day jobs for a while. We're both good at running something because we work for someone. Like that's
Yeah.
out of luck. A lot of creators are unlucky. Sometimes it works. There's people at 18 where they just hit it and they can maintain it. But if I didn't work for someone, I don't think I'd be able to run because the discipline. Like so, it's like that's a lucky thing. Like look, if at 20 stuff started working,
I
we
know.
wouldn't have. But yeah, I mean, we had
We've
that for a while.
grinded. Yeah.
And so, you know, when you started coming out of school, started working, was it more like I'm working to become a creator, or is it I'm working, this is my career? Was there a commitment there when you left college? Either one.
For me, it was fully. Look, mine was different. Like in college, I wanted to be a stand up, and I knew I knew I was gonna do something in comedy. But I was doing stand up, and I felt I had no idea before. I didn't realize like, oh my god, it's scripted. Like you need like set jokes. So I'm just like,
Dude, we can all be comedians, right?
dude,
Like,
yeah, and I was decent, and then but I actually found it very repetitive, and I'm like, I love the idea of all of this, but I need something. There's something not necessarily happening in this space. So I started it. I had a date. I was like an NBC page after college. It was actually good because I got to see the insides of like entertainment. I knew I wanted to do what I wanted to do in front of an audience. I didn't know what it was.
When's the first time you got up in front of someone?
I think at 19, or I did Governor's Comedy Club at like 19, I think, and it was like a disaster.
Was it?
It was. I don't even know what I was doing. I was just
you can't
talking.
possibly. Yeah. How about you? When's the first time you got up in front of people?
First time, like for a
For
live
real,
show.
for real, not like
It might have
sixth
been when
grade-
UpDating
not sixth
started.
grade.
We have a
yeah.
video of it.
Roll.
I mean, look, there was some bar mitzvah dancing back in the day, weddings, that kind of
Yeah.
hype man thing. But as far as like a live performance thing, he showed me the ropes. Everything on that side, learned from this guy. So for first time on that side was 2018, I think.
Wow.
And to circle back though, him and me both with day job, we knew it was never. We never were like our day job.
Oh
This
my
is going
God.
to turn it. It was always like let's make this money, and then after work, and then before.
I mean, we would work our day jobs, and even during our day jobs, you come home 5 to 10 p.m. You're just grinding on shit. And I think both of us spent pretty much our entire 20s, like
Every minute.
just trying to like get to this full time. And most people with, the rich mommy or daddy, like we know people who like got to do it full time from day one without even making money. I'm like, what? Like it's
But that's so fun. Well, it's fun though.
They live in my building, man. They live in my building.
Dude,
And I'm
I got nothing against.
I know what you make. I know what I make.
I know. How is
I
this
can't
happening?
afford
Him and
this.
me-
How do you afford
How
it?
is
We
this
now
happening?
look at people because we're in, I guess you could call like the creators economy, and him and me know every facet. Like we'll meet someone that says like, yeah, I do this. Now we're like, how are they making
Yeah,
money?
how
And
is
then
this
I look
working?
at their shoes and I'm like, those are like your mom's Gucci slippers.
Yeah.
Like but I got nothing. Look, and sometimes it works. So there are people I have occasionally met some people that come for money that actually kill it and it doesn't impact them. But then there's people that like, they can only make it if it's on their own. It doesn't work. Like we've learned like
we've learned how hard it's so
very
hard. Like you
hard.
need so many different things to line up, in this creator economy. It's true. Like timing is really important.
It's
timing and execution.
Is it entrepreneurship or is it creating content?
It's both. It's both.
That's a good question.
And I knew nothing.
it's
like
definitely both.
we came
Yeah.
up at a weird time too because like there was when I graduated college like 2015, there was no like social media was in this kind of plateau, and then 2016, I remember. I'm like, this is just gonna keep going up, like, and then it's gonna, and then like, so everything, like, we're in a business that's like, it's just evolving every day, so there's no title to it.
Yeah,
So you go to
and-
Facebook?
Yeah, and well, I was just gonna say on that note, like a Wes Anderson, right? Like a movie. Like that guy's not an entrepreneur, right? He's a brilliant like creator, right?
Yeah.
Content creator. Like we've always been business people too from day one.
Yeah.
And that I think it like we don't need manager. You know, we probably know a lot more about business than like some of those people, right?
Like a random manager. But we like that side of it too. Like I obviously love like the live shows on the road. That's probably number one. I'd say the number two is honestly like literally hopping in front of my computer and like seeing what's going on with the business. Like you check, like it's an actual. And when I was younger, I always did have my own little businesses. I made money on sort of unconsciously. Right. And with this, you get to, what I love about what we do is like, you can literally wake up and say, let's explore. Like, I saw an article here, this guy's doing this. Like, we should get on that. Like, we should figure out, get our content there. We should get our,
that's the basic premise of the show is you were an entrepreneur. You may not have ever figured it out, but you were doing these things, right? It might not have been as conscious as you sitting there like, oh, I'm gonna make an app so people know people.
Yeah, that was very.
How bad was your app? How bad was your app before you went to
I don't even think it launched. Like, I think we fired like the engineer. It was an app that didn't like.
It's good though. I mean, dude,
it was a behind closed door app, but I mean, look, we're grateful every day. Like the fact that not only is it like fun and like creative, but the business of this stuff is like, it's a lucrative, like we're not in this to, have roommates, right?
So, you sure? Entrepreneur, I got a dog for a roommate.
Nice.
Me and my wife have a dog.
Oh, that's
That's,
nice.
that's sweet. I want to get a dog.
He just like, he has to go out all the time. He wants food. Roommates are no good.
No, dude.
So no, but all seriousness. So you leave Michigan, you go Facebook. Like clearly that's the pathway to becoming, like you're saying, I always wanted to do this stuff. I always wanted to do this stuff, but you went to college, then you go to Facebook.
I know. And I was at some random companies before, and Facebook was sort of like serendipitous. And what was cool about that, I mean, look, the big company, you don't fit in at all. I think what it helped me for a little bit for what we do now, I just saw the other side of this. I saw that these creators were like making a ton of money with garbage content. And just, this was also like, Facebook Live was the big thing, and I started dabbling in my own stuff.
Is that still a thing?
I don't think.
No,
I don't. Did that ever take off?
Live streaming is not
never
a
took
thing.
off. It never took off.
Because
really.
it never. People, I actually am a firm believer in editing. Like I really think like anything good, like you can edit something that could be a 4 live and make it a 9. Like I just don't think it's a good. I don't think it's a good like thing, live stuff, like streaming.
But live performance is.
I think it's the best because it's in a room, it's raw, and it's like, and there's no one. It's that's what it's meant for. That's the meat, and that will never die. Technology can't change that. Like technology could change on Facebook, and like live streaming suddenly isn't cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Besides sports, I don't know what live, and maybe New Year's Eve. I don't know of too many like major entertainment programs that are live streams. Sport. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sports and like the New Year's Eve. Rally.
Well, I mean, I think
like most stuff isn't, because we look at like the highest level of shit in this world. Like we look at the Seinfeld, right? And it wasn't live stream,
What about Twitch?
Twitch?
We've
been pitched about Twitch.
I think it's cool. I think like it's every platform, and that's the thing, right? And especially with what we do, some people will come at you from like 8 different directions. They'll say you should not try this, you should try this, you should. And what's good is like you do try it, and especially as you're going, and like you're not there's no necessary, like you can explore different things without consequences, and you could fail, it won't really matter. I think you just also have to say to yourself, what do I want? Forget about like the money, like what actually is the place for the content that I want to go with. So Twitch, I think, is great for like obviously for gaming. That's the Netflix, that's the holy grail, and it works for that, and it works for some outside things. And look, for all we know, it could be the biggest thing for UpDating, but I don't know, for some reason it doesn't. Maybe right now it might excite me in like a month.
We could do special editions with a live stream, but live streaming every show I think would take. We've tried it. It just didn't really stick.
Doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't. And I can see that because, like, you know what? There's live. You're experiencing things. It's around you but when you're watching something live, all the lame moments really stick out when you're not in the room.
Yeah, well, that, and then also from a distribution, like a packaging, when something's edited, it's put out on YouTube or whatever, it lives forever. Yeah. Live stuff, it's just a totally different thing, It's a different,
So you bomb out at Governor's Club. How'd you get back on? How'd you get back on? Were you like, oh, I'm done? Or were you like, I got to get back up there?
No, so I didn't. I then I was in college. I went to college, and then the whole time I kind of, I go, I'm going to do this again. And I actually, my biggest turning point with my, I guess, ideas, I had an internship at the Howard Stern Show in college. And and when I was younger, I didn't know a lot about him. I'd see his interviews on YouTube. People were like, this guy, you'll love this guy. Like, I'm from Long Island. Like, I'm kind of was like an outskirt of like.
No way. You're from Long Island?
Yeah, from Long Island.
Wow.
But like, I don't know, Howard Stern's just like a guy that, I don't know. And then I interned there and I was like, this guy, what he's doing is not being done live or anywhere. And it sort of was like a turning point. And I go, I want to do something like this, but I'm going to go back to stand up because I think it'll lead me like in the right direction. And if that like, and we'll see where it goes. And then it all kind of like, just, I still don't even know exactly what I want. Like you just end up somewhere.
Why do you think people think they need to know where they're going?
You don't.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a really good.
Like, if you know where you're going, that's as far as you're going to get.
Oh my God.
That's a good way to look at it, man.
I think, and I always like, sometimes I look back at me at 21, 22. You really do have to try. Sixers quote, Philadelphia Sixers, trust the process, right? I think like what will unfold in the most natural way. So you don't have to stress. Like I wish I didn't stress as much.
I agree. I used to freak out when and honestly, like when I remember like governors and I would do stand up, I would take it hard. Like, and I would think it's over. Like your life is done. Like you suck. Like I'm better now. I don't actually get as ups, but I would have I would have had a lot more fun, I think, in my early 20s if I didn't take stuff like so seriously.
Do you think you can be successful if you don't take it that seriously though?
Ooh, it depends what field, of course. I mean, I think
at least in what you're doing.
Well, I
like
think
you're living on what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I think for us, we both in this world, in the entertainment world, is everyone is trying to be in this thing. You have to, from day one, we would talk like, yo, we're gonna be huge, like it's gonna happen. Like you do have to speak it into existence to an extent.
I think it's a good question because I think a lot of stuff actually is very much like I just am a serious person. It's just kind of like I'm very, that's just like how I'm wired. Like I'm wired a little bit desperately in a way, like where I need to. My dad, I think he did actually a good job of parenting, but like he would like take me to the bank and like show. He's like, here's what's going on. Like he's like, you need to like. He's like,
go get more than this.
I was like 16. He's like, you only have like $1,000 you saved. Like you're in trouble, man. Like you could be screwed. Like he goes, what if you end up at a hospital? Like so, I've always had panic of needing to be able to support, and I could have done anything. And I would have had that and instilled that. So I think those are two separate things. Because there's a lot of really creative and talented people that do super well and they have absolutely no understanding of business and they don't take it serious. And they still, it's different.
Yeah, but do they take their art and their craft serious? I think that's the piece.
Well,
like you can't just, you can't just wing.
Well, I think look, it's a commercial industry. Like we've been pitched by many random ideas lately, and I'm like, what's the business behind? Like, cool, this is sure, we could go to like Jamaica, and I don't like, what's the business behind? Even in entertainment, like it's still a business. Some of these artsy, I don't really rock with like these movies that are just so artsy and make no money. I like Barbie. Like it's commercial.
I didn't like
it's
Barbie.
Commercial. Well, it's artsy and it's commercial. Like it, you need both, right?
No, I agree. I'm a firm believer in whatever if you believe in your stuff, you love it.
Yeah.
But dude, there's people that make these movies. They don't care necessarily. Yeah. And look, the business model behind like indie films, like even still, if you crack, I still think that's a great business because I also love a straightforward business. Yeah. You know what you're investing. You just know,
scripted TV is the worst.
Confusing.
Model. It's
confusing. I don't get that anymore. How especially with streamers and stuff. I don't get how they.
Yeah. So Dick Wolf, probably the number one scripted
guy's a genius.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like a billionaire, isn't he?
Yeah. And like you work for Dick. And,
that was pre-streamer, his stuff, right? Streamer screwed it all
but
up.
he's got 30-year franchises, right?
Yeah, and he's still killing.
Exactly.
He's got Law and Order.
He's killing. For sure.
So he's got Law and Order, he's got FBI, he's got Chicago Fire.
PD. All
so
great
like all
shows.
three of those.
Epic.
It's formulaic. The script is, so I know one of the writers really pretty well at this point, and he's been with them for 30 years. You do it this way.
Yeah.
It's 42 minutes. You learn what will fly, right? Like a good show might not fly because the NFL is the antagonist. Well,
Right.
you cannot go on legacy TV with you cannot go on NBC with the NFL as the antagonist.
Like
That
competing
will be
against the
killed.
NFL. Yeah,
right.
of course.
No,
yeah.
not competing. Like, oh, NFL are bad people, right? Like it could be the
Oh, I
greatest
see
show.
what you're saying.
So say a football player beats up a woman and
Right.
like I heard the show pitched to a writer and he's like, great show, great concept. You could build it. You could do it in 42 minutes. You could hit the formula. You'll never get it on air because they're not
Right.
going to air a show that gives the NFL a black eye because they're the
No,
biggest
For
animals in the
sure.
world.
That's
It's
interesting.
a good point. That's a very good
Yeah.
point. Everything. Well, I was saying I was saying to him the other or before. I'm like, parameters are actually a good thing. Sometimes rules and regulations make content and everything way better because then you have a line, and that forces creativity. And that's why
Yeah.
that's why I think his shows are so good. Actually, I love Law and Order. So
So
Should get back into Law and Order.
yeah, I did.
that was the reason I went to law school.
It's a great
wow,
show.
Law and Order.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And it was law school was
Yeah.
fine. Being a lawyer, so
NCIS I used to watch as a kid.
I liked
that was
all
a good
those.
one. NCIS. Yeah.
so those they're formulaic, right? And that's how you do it, and that's how you write it. And you have a handful of
Right.
writers, and you can crank it out. But it's not like, oh, I'm going to get into scripted television. That's a terrible. Yeah, if your name's not Dick Wolf, stay out of it,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
or you're working for him.
Exactly.
But I mean, right now, unscripted's huge, right? I mean, that's
Huge.
at some level, that's where you're falling in.
Well, it's huge online. I mean, I think TV, it's not as big anymore.
Well,
Unless it's a
I mean,
documentary on Netflix. or
But it is
something.
their
Yeah.
biggest. Like
Yeah.
it is technically the biggest on all platforms. Like Netflix's
Yeah.
most viewed stuff is all is unscripted.
Unscripted. Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's a reason. I mean, it's cheap,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No.
right? Like, it's cheap. It's easy, actually. Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's why, I mean, YouTube, if you're a YouTuber, aren't you just a non-scripted TV show producer today?
a hundred-
Right? It's the
100%.
same thing. Like you're
And
just
stop.
making your own
the
TV
same
show.
thing.
Yeah,
Core.
exactly. It's the same.
The distribution changes
Yeah,
are why you need to be an entrepreneur.
exactly.
It came down.
Yeah,
Right.
you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's a totally,
I like that.
and that's what it is now. Like you do need to be able to fully do your own thing. And then look, we may end up on one of the. It's all about it's the way we run our business. There's all different platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever. Like Netflix and all of that in a weird way, it is in that category. You
Yeah,
can
it's just one of those.
It's just one. Everything's one, and you could, and that's what's cool. You can have your own business off of one or all or a couple of those mediums. But yes, at the end of the day, it's all unscripted at least for this.
How many people touch your products?
Updating like in the office.
All of your business. Let's go
You're
past
saying
that one
viewers?
show. Let's go past that one show.
You're saying viewers
No, how many people are touching it as in working?
Yeah.
working on updating. Well, full time it's just us two.
Right.
We have a video editor, freelance, who
For
helps us
YouTube.
with YouTube.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
That's it.
And
And then we have a booker who's obviously like very important. We can only
Who books your travel?
we do.
we do the travel. I mean,
Come on,
it's
man. Come
we
on,
don't need to
man.
pay someone to see.
Nah, I like
We don't
it.
mind being scrappy. Like we do it.
It's fulfilling.
We
too.
meet up at a hotel.
Fulfilling.
We meet up at a hotel. We
Yeah.
drink martinis and then just like book it, and get it done.
I don't mind. Well, it's again, the reason I love booking the hotels and doing all that, dude, I've worked a day job forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I woke up doing something. I'm
I
like,
know.
it's just almost like you get to, as you're doing it, you're like, wow, like I get to.
Have you ever had someone do your travel for you?
no,
Like,
no.
like, yo, I'm going, like yesterday, I'm going to San Francisco on Monday.
Never.
I'm coming back Tuesday. All right,
Nah.
click.
I don't even
I need an SUV. No?
No, we're also
Oh.
small. Like we're
Yes.
not. Believe me, we're
I know.
not.
Some of the-
yeah,
some
we're
of
We
not
get
there.
that for virtual assistant.
Yeah, some of these venues we do the show out there, like, should we send a car service for you? I'm like, that sounds like way more work than us just calling the Uber.
Exactly,
It's just the
exactly.
most confusing. We're gonna arrive at the airport. I'm like, this
So
is
to
ridiculous.
answer, actually, Harrison, to answer the question, now that I think about it, anything we've ever done where someone else has stepped in,
Oh
it
my
just
God.
doesn't get done,
Doesn't
right?
get done.
We do things. The only thing, honestly, in terms of like even our business, like even I still do all the clips. Like we have a guy now. He does our YouTube. He works. He blends in so well to us. He's like, he takes initiative. He does that. I would say that's like the only time in terms, because I also count everything as one. I count booking a hotel as the same way as editing. So it's all work. Other than that, like, and it still takes.
Maybe the guy who runs our website. He's great. He's in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like he's like
Andrew.
he's like Weapon X. So we have random people like that all over the world, but they're not like part of the internal team.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you're right.
We're keeping it lean,
So I mean,
honestly.
if you,
Like, we
if you
don't-
think about it, like it's not so much like your ability to scale is
Right.
dependent upon your ability to add more people.
I don't think so.
Not necessarily.
No, I don't think so.
That's actually, with what we're doing, I will say and in some degree, yes, like there's gonna be, at one point, we will need another editor, we'll need some sort of filtration with other parts, but like we see the business, we like lean and mean. I don't have a desire to, neither does he, to have a big
Like
company.
who did the biggest tour last year in comedy? John Mulaney, 50 million. Like I don't think he has like a huge staff. Like he's just you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I guess maybe
that's pretty.
I'm
It's a
I'm
good
missing,
business, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm missing a piece though. Like he his agent is setting up X to Y.
Right. You need the
sure.
agent for sure. Of
And
course.
Agents
the
are
number of
important
people
for
are touching
touring.
it. I do think when you start to break it down as a business, when you get away from it as a job versus to a business,
Right.
you're going to hit a point where you can't book a flight.
Yeah,
Like-
no,
like-
no,
like-
he's
you
not,
know
he's
what
not
I'm
right.
saying?
He's
Like,
not, I mean,
you're not
yeah.
wrong.
So
There-
if I'm saying, and you're coming to me saying, hey, I need $3 million to
Right.
take this thing to $1 billion franchise,
Right.
I'm going to look at you and go, well, do you know how to manage a person? Do you not
So that's a
delegate?
good.
which we do now. and we've-
Which we do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is a good point. I mean, there are, as we're getting bigger, like I feel like our hands are in like every month there's a new pot we have to be involved in. And like, is it going to hit a point soon where, but we really still want to just keep it lean.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you want to high level? What do you want? What do you see this enterprise as?
Well, to go
in
back to
5-10
before,
years?
we don't necessarily, we have a lot of different ideas. There's no set like specific thing we're working on, but the easy answer for us, and the reason this business is great, if we focus on more tickets, everything else around it just grows. And I'm sure we'll do other ideas. Something will happen on stage one night where we could be like, yo, that's another show. Let's do this show.
Yeah.
It's focusing on our canvas, which is a live show in front of a crowd that we monetize on the internet.
and creates community
Grow the
around
seats.
that. Yeah.
And
Grow the seats. So bigger
well said.
venues equals
Right.
bigger company. for
Bigger
you. That's the
yeah,
scale.
definitely.
More
I think
fun.
so. And look, also we're the only touring act. Like when you talk about stand up, when they go on tour, they do 100 cities. They can only really post one of those shows and monetize that content
Right.
online.
Special.
Because it's the same
Every-
monologue.
every-
and they do
every
a
show.
special. Every single one of our shows is different. So we can make money from every show.
Yeah. And also can put out, like, we can have a moment. That's what's also great because it is like there's unscriptedness. There's a moment that it could be so like incredible. Like a lot of comedians that repeat jokes, they do an act. There's a great chance that a lot of those had the best moment during when they were working it out or had something. So just from a creative perspective, we get to
It's amazing.
put out more. And also the community though, which we didn't mention. So as we're growing, we're really like, we hang out every show we do in every city. We stay after, we stay after, we go to an after thing or a bar and we meet everyone and like we meet everyone that came to the show.
Exactly. And just final, and on like the creator economy piece where you're saying 5-10 years, we're still, Logan Paul with the Prime, like we're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
We don't really know yet.
We don't know what our
Boxing.
maybe boxing.
Boxing.
boxing's not,
That's
I will
interesting.
say,
That's interesting.
So it's funny-
Dating boxing.
it's funny
Or
you
maybe
say
a different
that.
type of glove for like relation.
we did. I'm not going to say who reached out to us. Which is I don't. I'm not gonna.
I know,
But
yeah.
a while ago, before
Someone
we had
big
any
in that world.
and that's what's funny. More people reached out to us to like do stuff with us before we had any following. Now we rarely like.
That's so funny.
But someone in that world, like who you'd be shocked, reached out. Was like, hey, I see what you're doing. I saw this. Like there's something for XYZ here with, so I do think there could be a world, whether it's a special or we do something like in that, but you brought that reminded me of something.
I forgot. We'll tell you.
So it's a you bring up a really interesting piece, like you're confined by venues.
Right.
That's your confining point.
Yeah.
But you're also confined by numbers of nights. Like, what's the optimal?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
How many shows are you doing a year?
Yeah, you
right.
can't
like
do
my favorite band is Deer
365.
Tick. They did like 270 shows one year,
Right.
and everybody walks off New Year's like they're dead.
It's a lot. That's a
Right.
we did 95, I think, last
That's
year.
the number. That's a lot. We did
Yeah,
95 shows.
nine-
I don't even.
I
That's
clocked
crazy.
it. Yeah, we did
a lot.
95 last year, which I think is a great.
That's a great number.
Here's the thing. So to answer, it's funny you brought that up. I've been thinking about this a lot because the thing about doing shows, the fatiguing part is all the travel and stuff. I think the move with us is like, I love bulk because you also perform better. The shows are better. You really, when you're in that headspace, you do become invincible. But when it's spread out and it's scattered, you get in your head. I get like
Where am
depressed.
I?
What's up?
Where am I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
where am I?
And your personal life, you're in Miami this week, then 2 weeks from now you're in Jamaica. Like, why do I keep saying Jamaica? But like,
He wants to go to
it-
Jamaica.
maybe subconsciously, I gotta go to Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Like Brandon was saying,
We like ripping it.
rip it.
I love it.
2 months of just a ton of shows, and then you could just go on vacation to
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
But then what's funny, once you're on vacation, you're like, all right, I want to go back
wanna
and do
get back.
shows. Like, so it's like, it's a
Exactly.
catch. We love doing it. Like, right,
Yeah.
him and me, we love every bit of it. We love seeing different cities. I like getting
The
restaurants.
traveling's so much fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So these guys asked me when I come in, they said, well, how's your New Year? I said, well, I totally unplugged for 2 weeks. How'd it feel? I'm supposed to say
Nice.
it felt good, but it was pretty awful. You know, it's like,
You like-
I'm
do you-
like,
you like
yeah,
working?
by the fourth day, I'm like, okay, there's somebody that needs me, right? And like my email's not popping. I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't they need me? They gotta need me.
Right.
Nah, but I mean, I just like
I get that.
I like
I get
working.
that. I think
do.
working's healthier. I mean, it's very bizarre when you don't have a lot going
I
on.
agree. And then I get in my head, I go, in that 2 weeks, man, like you miss an opportunity.
know.
What if you lose everything and then those bills can't be like, it always goes back to the bills, man. Like,
I think I think there's a commonality with entertainers and entrepreneurs, and it's that
Yeah.
need for attention / success. Like you have to have it.
Totally.
Right? Like we were talking before we started about people that really want attention and drama and the shows. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like around the business of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you want people asking you, is this a show, right? Is this something? Do you guys want to get involved in this? Because it's validating as to your quality in a world where you're audience driven, you're
Right.
market driven as an entrepreneur. As an entertainer, you sell tickets, you sell this, people watch. It's all real.
You're totally
good
right.
point.
And I will say, since we've been touring heavily and you do meet so many people that actually love your show, I have lost a lot of like the need for I remember when I was younger, I'm like, yo, like these people think I'm stupid. Like it's like they did. Like the teacher would, fifth grade, like she pulled my mom. My parents had to come up to their class. They're like, your son has ADD. Like he doesn't focus. He's a dumb kid. And that for me was like but I think now there's a fulfillment from like people that you meet and him and me we both are like, wow, they love this. And so it's less of that, but to get into it, there is like that thing. And I still have that, like that teacher, like Miss Murphy, like that was I was crying. I'm like, you run into your room and you're like, dude, they think I'm stupid.
Yeah.
My
I think it's all about, we think about, I think about maximizing what we have.
Yeah.
Really. Like you're never fulfilled until it's maximized. And because you can never be maximized, then I guess you'll never be
Fulfilled, yeah. And it's cyclical, and it's a driver though. There's an engine. There's a motor, if you will, that if it's not running, you're like, oh man, I want it running.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
It doesn't mean you can't have a good time in Jamaica.
No,
Right? Like that's
No,
the
look,
beauty
you
of
still-
getting older.
idea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Leading up to that, so the idea of leading up to that, and I do have that. Like, we're gonna do this tour, and I'm gonna do I don't know, I'll go to some crappy, I'll go to Dominican Republic with my girlfriend. Like, but it's
St.
the
Martin.
idea of you're working towards that, but then literally once you're doing it, you're like, and then there's something else. I'll be like, you're in bad shape now. Like you feel unhealthy. Like so, there's it doesn't really.
I think it's important to do personal trips while this stuff is happening.
A lot of people approach their career as like, my success is retirement and being able to afford some things.
I love those people, and I think that's the healthiest, happiest way to live. Man. I really do.
I
Yeah.
think there's something so broken.
About wait, you just
I want an approach to like try to get to retirement. Like
I
you're
wanna
gonna die.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
don't you hear the clock? I'm
I
like,
know.
I know.
I mean, I think you want money where money you don't even think about.
money's
it,
a
right?
tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be able to buy the
Whatever you
hotel
want.
room
Yeah.
anywhere I want to. Like I don't want to hear what's the
Right.
price. I don't want to have to ask what's the price
Yeah.
for the hotel room. That's how rich I want to be.
No, retirement is look, and I know, and him and me actually, our close group of friends, and my best friend actually, I lived with him I was like in my early 20s, and he worked in a union. He was making great money. He's like, he's like, I can't, this is horrible. I never want to feel like I have to retire. And like but he had no passion, but he just said, I want that mindset, lifestyle. I need to, and the guy started a cleaning business. Like,
Yeah.
so
So it probably is healthy.
it's healthy.
I think
But
it's
for
healthy.
me, I want to die. If that were my mentality, and like I explained it to someone, and I said, I can't imagine living for Tuesday night on NBC, like whatever's on at 8 p.m. Imagine that's your
Netflix.
life. Like you talk to your grandparents or something, and they're like, shows coming on, or like,
Look,
and
I think
I'm
you
like,
want to.
I love media. I consume media. We're
Right.
talking about the business of media and the
Yeah.
people doing it.
He's making.
But
That's-
man, can you imagine sitting around waiting for Tuesday night at 8 o'clock to watch a show?
I always want to keep your brain active. I mean, at 80 years old, we'll be doing stuff. Like,
Yeah, I would work until I couldn't. Because
Yeah,
work
you
to
got
me
it.
isn't it. This is I don't even know how to use the terminology of how I feel. It's like Lego. It's like Lego. I loved Legos growing up. It's just all kind of like, why would I stop? Doing that.
Way
but
healthier.
but those people I do in a way, like there is something I do admire. I admire that like people could just be happy and like they
Yeah.
like. But
I call that stupid.
Yeah. Exactly. Well,
Stupid. If you're stupid,
I know.
you don't worry about like. So like you come back to like, why are we here? You're
Yeah.
telling jokes.
Yeah.
You're a comedian.
Yeah.
You're pretty good. Right? Like you're good.
Yeah.
Like you've obviously worked at it.
Yeah.
Why?
It's I mean to kind of
To be the 50th best comedian in the world, or to run the best dating show? Like why?
It all well, I was just to go to the comedian thing. I was one of those people. I mentioned the teacher, like that was I had I had random teachers where like you have a like I was very when I was younger, I was a kid in the class I was the clown, but I never got sent to the principal. I was very good at like doing
Towing the line. Yeah.
Towing the
Yeah,
line.
right to it.
And yeah, so that's why. But to me, I never watched stand up growing up. It wasn't my. I loved like all different things. But I was like, yeah, people are saying
stand-up's
that.
kind of
So
boring
I think,
sometimes.
yeah, sometimes. But I also loved it. I wasn't the best looking kid. I wasn't the smartest kid. I wasn't this. I'm like, oh, this girl laughed. Like this guy laughed at me. This guy will have me at his house. Like I got into this crew because they like So it was more of that. It was a survival thing. Like and then And I love it. I love laughs and I also just for personal.
But why? Get to that why. And what I'm telling you, I guarantee when you dig into that why enough, it's because you're driven at a different speed than most people.
Yeah.
And it's clear you
Yeah.
are. Like your bio, your internet presence, you can find it. You're saying, oh, that's not me. But I'm betting you it was. And I wasn't doing much. Well, you were the NBC fucking page. You were on Howard Stern. You flex. Like, how many kids are out there
Yeah,
like
there was an
4.5
ambition.
GPAs now? Like I didn't even know that was a thing. But 4.5 GPAs that haven't made it. Ben sent me the thank you card. Oh, the working at the Hartford insurance company, right? Like you
Yeah.
could be working at the insurance company, but you're not. And I would argue, based upon the success and the quality of the content and the movement, that there's an engine that is unsatisfied and probably never will be. And
Yeah, I mean, by the way, you're a
Damn.
deep thinker because
The
I
movement.
I
also
got a
try-
PhD in psychology.
No,
Whoa.
because I
The
try
movement
not to.
part's
I
cool.
also don't want to ever overanalyze those things. You're right about, and I mentioned it before. Like I like school mate. Like I wasn't a great student. But I know there's a type of intelligence
That's right.
that I have, and I want to. You want to
Intelligence isn't the job of being a student.
No.
No. I mean,
He just said he went to Michigan for more or less 4 years. Ends up down the road through things at Facebook. I'm going to bet as a student job he was pretty good.
I was decent as a student in high school, but then in college, I took one econ class. I bombed. I was like, this is the worst thing. I was scarred for life.
Yeah, he's
So-
still pretty good. Like we can make him pull out his
He's more of a
transcript.
student.
Yeah.
I'm good at
Student.
math though.
But-
All right, that's
Yeah,
He's
well, of
better
course
at
you are.
math. Yeah.
Of course you are. You're doing math all the time, calculating. The you make that move. You're looking at it as a company. Why? Like you could have just
You're saying
did
looking
stand
at
up.
updating as a
Yeah,
company?
you're looking at what you're doing is a company.
Right.
There's a
Yeah.
business to
Oh,
this.
yeah.
This is
sure.
a real thing. This isn't a TikTok account. This isn't
No.
you've
No.
gone way past that. You're selling tickets, you're traveling. 95 shows in a year, that's a operation.
It's an operation.
Yeah, that's a.
You know,
Down to a science.
you
yeah.
guys don't even think that you have people working with you, but there's probably, if we go down the list, there's probably 15 1099s coming off of it.
Yeah,
and like
that's
you,
interesting.
and you look,
There are more stakeholders that want a piece of this. I could tell you that.
yeah, for
you know.
sure. You'll
Yes.
have to hold them off
A lot
because you're
more-
already hit a critical
And
mass for success.
we're keeping it tight.
Tight.
Gotta
Tight.
keep it tight.
And also, I like him and me both love we love business. We really enjoy we wake up and we go over and I think you lose. I think we're in a phase right now, and maybe you're right. We can only drag that out for so long before we have to figure out little tools. But I think we're enjoying that.
Depends what you want to be, right?
Yeah.
You want roommates or not want roommates. You want a
Did you
bigger
make a
house or a
thing?
little house. You want 2 houses, 3 houses. That
No, look,
you start to have to make those choices, and you
Exactly.
probably have been just haven't got to.
No, we built a multifaceted entertainment company.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. And it all starts with a live show, which it's live entertainment meets the
That's your
creator
core
economy.
capability.
live.
That's
It
how we
is.
started
That's
before we
what-
did anything else, before
That's it.
social media happened.
And I will say, just from a business and an editing perspective, if you have a live show with laughs in your content, the editing edits itself. Everything. I can't imagine running it. That's why I think people in scripted are geniuses, because having the beats when you're creating the dialogue is so hard. The audience does it. They do the
Yeah.
job. They go there and tell you this is what you should put out.
It's
great.
amazing. It's not a TikTok person in their room alone
No.
posting something. I think this is funny. We get live validation from it.
Yeah,
So-
we're like, oh, they laugh, but this is great. This will go viral on the
and we
internet.
get paid to get that audience. It's like we get paid to screen the show.
So I gotta wrap this up. It's 12:54.
Oh,
Here, so-
can run.
Well, I got.
we might have to run at
Yeah.
but 1:30.
Yeah, we
Okay.
got.
Yeah, we're good.
I mean, this guy, you're good genius,
All right.
man.
So, like, you look at that. Where I think we've touched on some interesting points of the difference between what you guys did in your journey of having to work your way to a
Right.
place where you're making a living,
Yeah.
right? What would you tell that kid that's 16, 17, 18?
Mhm.
Because this is a career now. This is why it's a show. Because this is a career. Whether their mom knows it or not doesn't matter. This
Right.
is a career.
Yeah.
And so, like, there are kids out there in your audience or in other people's audiences looking, going, that's what I want to do with my life. What's the lesson you would say?
It's a
after having read
good.
this?
I don't
It's a
know,
good.
man. That's-
It's a great question. I mean, a couple thoughts that come to mind. The first, I would tell the 16-year-old kid, the idea is nothing unless you're consistent with it for a long time. Like in the beginning, we always just said more shows, and that helped us test it out. So I would tell the kid, you have to be disciplined, be consistent. I think, but look, this is for sure a path. It's a career. And I would also tell someone who wants to be a YouTuber, a comedian, or whatever, that you need to make sure you're not just relying on brand deals to make your business, right? Like that.
yeah.
I think
Build
a
a
lot
business.
of build a broader
Become an
business.
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Build a business, man. No, I would actually say to a 16-year-old, because I got lucky. I surrounded myself with even people that maybe at the time people looked at as not the right. If you actually hang out with people that you really like, they will actually tell you what you should be doing with your life. That's what I would say. Find people. Don't focus on the title. Find good friends and
So you don't want to get
Try
too
it.
deep, but that's it.
Yeah,
Go ask 5 people.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Go ask 5 people what you're good at.
who love you. Yeah.
I
Who
think
actually
that's
love you, and they'll
yeah.
tell you exactly what you're good
Well,
at.
yeah.
I've done that exercise repeatedly in my life.
It
Totally.
works. It works.
It does. Yeah. One exercise I did when I was 23, leaving tech, someone told me to write down everything you've done since childhood, since kindergarten, and write down why you thought you were doing those things. And so I did that, and I wrote 10 pages, and it was all media, and it helped me. It was a good exercise because I
Why
forgot.
didn't you go to LA? You graduated Michigan.
I don't
Why didn't you just do
LA.
it? Why did you spend this couple years out in San Francisco in the tech world?
Oh, that's
why didn't you
good-
just go to New York, LA, and get right in the media?
Everyone from
I-
Michigan.
You knew you wanted to be in media.
Yeah. That's a good.
So I want to back
Yeah.
to what I'm saying. I was friends with him, and I'm like, I know you well. I'm gonna give you advice. Come to New York right now.
Yeah.
Like what I'm saying about the 16-year-old. Like I think I acted as for Harrison at that point. I'm like, what are you? But I get it, right? He went to Michigan. He
You were a good guiding force for that. I mean, everyone I went to college with went to New York after school. I was like, I don't want to be around those people. I want to figure out my stuff. I did a trip to San Francisco in 2013, like a student trip, and The Social Network had just came out. I'm like, yo, this movie, what people are jumping in pools, making billions. Like this
What years
energy
you
is
guys go?
crazy.
2018, I think.
2018.
2018, yeah.
We did the same thing. They were in the
Oh, you
first group
did?
from
Oh.
the University of Connecticut.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it was.
I pull into the Walmart because I used to coach the University of Alabama
Right.
hockey team. So I
Oh,
know what
that's
it's like
cool.
to
I was
travel
hockey-
with
he's a
I was a
hockey
hockey
guy.
player.
I know what it's like to
Oh,
travel
that's
with
crazy.
25 people. You're in the hotel. You got access to nothing. So I tell the bus driver, go to the Walmart. So I start walking down, or Target or whatever. I'm walking around. I don't have to buy anything. I look over. These three idiots, well, there's only two of them here for the audience, but there's three kids in this crew, and they're loading up beer into the I'm like, no, not this trip.
Whoa.
Like, whatever you do,
That's so funny.
I can't see it, but we're not here to pick up beer. And that
We're
was our
not here to
student
get
trip
wasted.
to Silicon Valley.
That's
I'm going
funny.
out.
So I forget. It's
No
not
one
even
says
called
that.
Silicon Valley
No,
anymore.
it's not. Wait,
Yeah,
it's not
no,
called
Palo Alto.
It was
Now it's
cooler.
like half
It was
a-
cooler when people called it Silicon
Yeah.
Valley.
left the zeitgeist. Like it
no,
just
it's gone. It's gone.
It's
And
kind
that-
of that's
there's a
that's
whole-
interesting.
It
That
is.
show was a good show.
I think
too.
San Francisco is a place to go now. Like
It's
to
seen
think
better
about how
days,
to,
but,
it has,
yeah.
but that's the exciting part about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. No, that's interesting.
But I mean, I
Yeah.
think like when I go to Palo Alto, which I do, let's say 3-4 times a year, I'm going on Monday to San Francisco. Like they live in their house and they're all rich and their whole world is to keep everybody else at bay. Whereas Silicon Valley for 15, 20 years was like, come.
It's like
all
music.
of it
That's
sort
interesting.
out.
Now,
It's-
it's elitist now.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
He's right
Yeah.
about that. Also, Silicon Valley, I always looked at like unconsciously. I was like, it's like music. Like people move out, like they make beats together. Like
Yeah.
Silicon Valley did that for tech. And
Do you
it was
make
cool.
beats?
Really cool.
I'm actually good. Like
You
good
ever
at-
sold a beat?
No, but I know how to make. I know to use Pro Tools. That was one good takeaway from college. Editing in Pro Tools. I learned how to use Final Cut in college.
No, your parents make you go to college. This is the career you want. You should find a way to learn all the digital tools you can
Dude,
learn.
yes,
for sure.
that I will say,
Yeah.
regardless of what you do, if you're younger, know technology, know how to do like that will
that's a
come
good
in
point.
handy. And almost even a nurse in 20
Yeah.
years is gonna have to like make a video for like it's.
it's a really good point.
I
Yeah.
got mad at someone yesterday. They were like, "Oh, I need somebody to help write this." I'm like, "It's called ChatGPT now. Like
I
you
know.
just drop
I-
in the points and it will print out a first version."
I'm afraid to use the ChatGPT thing. I don't know. It
he gets
seems
scared.
confusing.
Yeah.
You know,
It's gonna take over your brain.
that's what we've been
Yeah.
hearing. Yeah.
You can't take over a live audience, man.
Nah.
That's why
no,
I like it.
exactly. That's true. Yeah,
You know-
there are no AI actors here.
No.
They'll be coming, man. It's what you can do. Have you been watching the little AI movie clips, like concept pieces that are being generated?
I see the
it's-
AI influencers, like something
That's
popped up
interesting.
on my thing today, like, yeah, like so and so, like her AI thing, she made like 5, but someone runs that AI that's making the 5K, right?
For sure.
A
But I mean,
month.
it's super, like, I looked at a Harry Potter, like, using the actors in their state today, the whole 2-minute trailer.
Yeah, but you know what? That
Whoa.
won't sell as an actual movie every day because emotions sell humans. It could be the same exact content done by an AI. I don't think anything would work the same.
All right, we'll take that bet.
yeah,
Bookmark that. Bookmark that. Bookmark that. I don't. think
I'm
people are like it.
came from tech, but the AI stuff, that's when
Doesn't
I, like,
interest me,
Yeah,
AI.
it's not that. I mean, look, 10 years from now, someone's gonna replay
It's
us
gonna
saying
give
it's
you all
not
your
interesting.
script. It's gonna give you all
Yeah.
your copy for your website. It's gonna give
that's
you your,
true.
so it's gonna
So
give
is
you
that-
like that's what the
Yeah.
efficiency
No,
gain
it-
will be there. On
I
those
agree.
things.
And
And
there are-
organizing your archives and like
Yeah.
dialogue and stuff, like that'll be cool to have.
I
you know?
agree. There's some data stuff that it could probably help with.
Yeah, for sure.
tracking emails, stuff like that.
So I think this has been fantastic.
David, pleasure.
No, my pleasure. The reason this evolved was because also sports and entertainment
Right.
are crossing.
Right.
Beyond, man.
Totally. Totally.
So I was at, are you familiar with, Atu put it together a couple weeks ago. You familiar with He Got Game, Spike Lee's movie
Yeah.
back in the day?
Oh, of
Great
course.
movie.
I
So
mean,
we were at Jesus Shuttlesworth's house a couple weeks ago, right? And it's like, and it never even dawned on me. I'm here at UConn. I'm doing this stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to build the academic like place for the kid that their parents won't let them. Like they
Right.
got to go to college, right? Okay, build the academic home for all those people. Forget marketing and communications expenses. Like cut that whole department. Just cut it. Like goodbye. I'm gonna get myself 25 or 50 kids that work in this space to go to school here.
Right.
If you were a UConn student, you'd provide more PR than UConn's marketing and
Oh,
communications
totally,
department,
totally.
right?
Well, for
That's-
sure. I mean, that's why like
it's a valid
and 5-10 years ago, every brand, university, like you have to look at yourself as a media company, right? It's a reason why all of them.
You do.
Like,
I mean,
I just sold my first deal the other day, 20 grand for
Oh, look at you.
using
That's good.
my class to create content
Yeah, that's interesting.
for your business.
but isn't it the same as like, you know, the Georgia football team being the PR for the college because of their football
100%.
team? That's how
it's
all
the
of it
evolution
is.
of that expense,
It is. Yeah.
right? Like, Alabama because of Nick Saban.
Literally.
Totally.
Literally.
Is he
That
worth
guy's the
$10
logo.
million, $11 million? Yes,
Yeah,
he's
he
worth
is.
every
Yeah,
dollar
he
of
is.
it.
No,
'Cause
he is.
these it's big business.
And that's
that
one
kind
of those
stuff.
things people don't realize when they're like, oh, that coach is getting that. I go, do you understand how much work along the way? But then he unintentionally got that because of what he was doing. Like you get that. He took a route and like you just end up there. Like it doesn't necessarily mean the day to day. People focus so much on the day to day. They're like, why is this person making that? I'm like, dude, the guy's like the best coach and he's been doing this forever.
Big business.
And the business is valuable.
Oh my God. I
With
mean, finally they're getting paid.
the audience.
Right. It's exactly. There's
And the audience gets distributed. I don't need a Marcom department. I need 30 kids making content about life at UConn. That's better
Yeah.
than anything they're ever
college
gonna do.
football players are no different than an actor on a sitcom.
No,
right?
no, that's a great
They're
analogy.
making money from TV networks, and they're making money from advertisers.
They
They're
are
the same thing.
actors.
all the
Yeah.
same thing.
We sat class, Adama Sinogo, Andre Jackson, national champions. Now we sit in class. What's your job? To play basketball? No.
Yeah.
To sell tickets.
Yeah, no, and
I like
that
that.
goes back to what that is
They
what
are
it comes down
entertainers,
to.
athletes.
And I think coaches sometimes, like I think I do think down like within the next 20, 30 years, coaches are going to become like the Tom Brady. Like you're going to have coaches that are going to become more and more famous in
Celebrities,
sports.
yeah.
Because that's going to be good for look at what Taylor Swift going to a game.
Yo, Deion Sanders right now is the biggest
You
star
should be
in college
building
football.
your
Yeah.
audience.
Colorado. That
You
guy's
should be building your audience to get the highest contract you can do
yeah.
because Deion Sanders is worth more than everybody
Right.
else because of the audience.
Yeah, no, it's
That
so
connection
true.
happens.
And people, you just can't notice that unless you're thinking that, like, and some of the biggest fans, right, or
I
don't
know.
have it. They don't realize
No, they
that.
talk about name, image, and likeness like it's the Wild West. Is you'll hear it over and over if you watch anything coming up with the college football
Yeah, it's
championships
interesting.
and basketball this year. You'll hear it's the Wild West. We don't know.
I mean,
You know exactly what's going
I've
on because
always-
you live it.
I've always
Yeah.
just said it should be semi-pro. Like the
It
college
is.
football is semi-pro.
Let
And,
it be.
Yeah, it's tough. Like at Michigan, Denard Robinson, guy was a huge superstar, but athletes couldn't make money at the time.
They can't
Now
even get an
I don't know
internship.
what he's doing from like he could have made millions.
Isn't that makes me
while
think?
he was a star, and now he's not.
Well,
no one knows him.
I think about a lot of this all the time, just across the board. Like these certain Instagram people, the Kim Kardashians, the Selena Gomez's, they got lucky that they were having a pinnacle of mainstream when social media came out and all
Yeah.
of this. So they're able to maximize that the most just because of their timing. Paris Hilton, who's now had a little bit of a comeback, has like a 50th of their following. If social media was having
So
its
true.
uprise when she was peaking, Paris Hilton's the biggest star in the world, right? Because
Yeah.
she also gets business too. So it's all timing. And that's the thing. Be aware of like what's going on around you at that time. And like you may
It's why you get on a new platform too.
Always.
You always try it. You always test it. Because if you're the first star on the platform, Charlie
not e-
D'Amelio on TikTok,
No. Yeah.
right? Like you're
Totally.
the biggest. You're the biggest. You're the first star.
I don't think about those athletes. Like think about that poor guy. I feel like imagine
tough.
like to think about
And
that.
he tanked in the NFL. He could have made tens of
Millions.
millions. He could have been set for life.
Set for
honestly.
life, right.
Sad. He's a good dude.
And Michigan made that money.
Michigan
Yeah.
made all of that money.
100,000 people. You know,
Week in and week
it's
out.
wild.
It's an
TV
interesting-
contract, $100 million TV. It's wild. So that's how this all started. And I think where we're at now is I'm just ahead of the curve of looking at the reality of the world.
Yeah, you're a good
Right.
professor,
Like I've got
man.
nothing that's
Yeah.
innovative in what we talked about. We've talked about nothing innovative.
I
We
know.
talked about you living your life
Yeah.
and building a business while you do it. That's it.
Yeah, that
I
is
love
it. That's
that.
it. I'm a simple guy, right? Like, and it is. Sometimes you just really need to look at things very like
Analytically. Yeah.
straightforward.
It's
Like,
very straightforward.
Simple. It's simple.
Do what you love.
Listen.
Find someone to love, right? You
Yeah,
know what
fine.
I mean?
Yeah.
Find someone to love. And
Especially
then
if
that's
you
it.
happen to be at your show.
Yeah, if you
Come
happen
the
to be
show and
at
meet
our
someone.
show, and we create and our this
What's the
end,
biggest audience you've done your show in front of?
700.
What's the biggest audience this year on tap?
We're gonna be doing in
Probably over 1,000.
We're doing in London, I think, in June. We have a few. So we
Where
now
are you in London?
I think we don't have it booked yet, but probably June. But we now have.
Where are you going?
We don't have it booked yet. It'll be a theater, but like we have like 10 cities now. We could probably like we're on this tour. We're doing like 4 shows in Chicago and like a 350 room. Like we're at the point now where we're doing a couple in certain cities, like a few shows versus the one big one. And here's the thing, man. Comes down to one thing: not the size of the crowd, the darkness and the intimacy of a room. As long as that's there, the crowd size doesn't matter.
But look, if the big house, 100,000,
Yeah.
we'll do it. 2026, mark it down.
That boxing idea, man, with dating. Hey,
Hey, I might have to throw a Dama Sonogo at you when you're in Chicago. You can put up, he's now played 2 games in the NBA. So you
Who?
might have- don't worry, man.
All right.
You
Yeah,
can.
can
He's
we
just
would
the
love-
MVP of the Final Four
Look, if
last
you know
year.
it-
No big deal.
If you-
if we
if you
get
know
no
at-
big deal.
If you could connect us to athletes to cast,
they're great on our show. Athletes also are very sensitive people. They're great on
yeah.
updating,
and,
man.
Very.
and they do
Yeah.
what they're told.
They come in, they listen to
They're on
instructions.
time,
They just like
Exactly.
Dude, my best students.
Take
are-
off your
I'm-
shirt.
I thought
Take-
I'm getting all these high end future NBA players in my class. I'm
Nice.
I'm like,
Smart.
of course they're not going to come, right? Like they're not going to do anything. Oh man, their first one's there. They're sitting there.
So funny.
Like
That's it.
they
Discipline.
do the work.
Rappers, on the other hand, I
Rappers,
don't know,
yeah,
like,
no.
you know.
Discipline is so
You'll get a
important.
response 2 months later.
You get a response. No, it's true, man. Discipline's great. It's a healthy thing. That's why that day job kept us. That mindset
Yeah.
doesn't go away. So
Yeah. Well,
That's
thank
it.
you guys for
David,
coming
this was
by,
a
man.
pleasure.
David.
You are a legend.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
great. You're a great
absolutely.
interviewer.
You're right.
Go
I am a
Huskies.
legend, but yeah, go Huskies.
I wish I did have a professor like you actually in
Yeah, of
college.
course
Not,
you did.
not
There's
like you,
always one.
but well, there's always
always
one
one
that's
that-
like a cool
One
dude.
that you could have a beer with, right?
Yeah.
I'm never having a beer with you.
What?
Yeah, that's how it
Dave.
goes. I don't drink beer. I don't drink.
You don't drink?
I don't drink.
You sober?
Yeah, City
were
Winery.
you not-
City Winery. Like in a couple days. That's like my wife does dry January,
Oh wow.
so I'm gonna try to sell her on going by the show.
Nice.
Except we
Anytime
don't-
you want to
we
come.
don't date, so I'm like, can we go? Am I gonna get in trouble for telling my wife, hey, let's go to this dating show? Like
You got
Nah, show up a great time. Yeah.
Wait, how long you been sober?
Thanksgiving morning, 2000.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
Were you an alcoholic?
I mean, define an alcoholic.
Like, was it ruining your life?
No.
Really?
Could it ruin my life? Sure.
What made you stop?
None of the things I wanted in life were
happening.
gonna happen on the path that I was on. So Thanksgiving morning, I woke up. I tried to play football in the Thanksgiving football game, Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Hmm.
They started passing out beers. I was like, no. And then I was like, no, I think I'm not gonna drink a little. And then I went to school. I went back to school after Thanksgiving. And I told this girl, I was like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna drink anymore. She's like, that's probably a good idea. And I was like, all right. Like, and it just stuck.
And just like
And
that.
it like never was like forever. And it still isn't.
That's the key to
that's
not
epic.
drinking.
That's a great story.
I've owned a bar. Like it's like
You owned a bar.
I'm around people drinking all the time. Atu brings me to the
What bar do
moment.
you own?
I don't anymore, but
Oh.
it was 15 years ago before I went to get my PhD. So Atu brings me out to the Hamptons this summer. Rob Gronkowski holding like a bottle
Oh,
of
you're showing Gronk?
yeah,
Nice.
tequila. And he's like, oh, come meet Gronk. I'm like, leave him alone. He's like, no, come. So Gronk goes, hey, you want to do a shot? And I'm like, nah. And he's like, You know, he's just looking at me, and like, yeah,
It's
no.
epic.
And
No,
that was,
dude, I
so I get
respect
home,
it.
I said to my wife, I said, well, I guess that's not like we found a new line where it's not the line. Like Gronk wanting to do shots with you. That's kind of like
Even if
you
you're
might,
so,
yeah,
I see what
you
you're
might
saying,
want
yeah.
to come out of
That-
retirement.
you're right,
That's a
like-
line where you could be like, hey, I'm
All right,
unretired.
so
But
that's,
isn't
so that's
holding-
but I'm not.
interesting.
But do you
so-
get off to holding on to that day, that year 2000, like growing and growing
No,
the year?
not at all. I don't think about it.
What's
Okay.
funny about the Gronk example, like I could literally see you having a convo with your wife a few years ago. Look, if Tom Brady ever offered me a shot, and you're like, I would take it, and you got
No,
one
you-
step below Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, like you're like I actually think on the drinking, you're one step ahead. Like Gronk is the legendary,
I agree.
the legendary guy.
It's a guy
and,
you'd want to get fucked. He
and like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Oh
and
my
like
God,
we
he's
were
a
with his
legend.
whole family, dude. It's like it was that was that guy, man.
That's
You got to
cool.
hang out with that guy.
I
I
two
kinda
parties
wanna
hard.
get-
This
Yeah.
guy knows what's happening.
Too. I want to give up drinking. I have.
Do you?
I just don't like how it makes me. But like, I don't like the word give up. I like your mentality. Like, I'm just gonna go a little while. But then, do you smoke cigarettes or anything? Or
No cigarettes. You know,
A little bit.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I know where it is.
you do.
It's all like
No, and what I've realized, every single person on earth has their own unique relationship with drugs and alcohol. Like, I don't
Everyone.
even like, and no one could tell anyone anything.
The
Like,
one I'm getting now, my new drug is gonna be like this Ozempic shit.
I want to
To
get
lose
on
weight.
that.
There's no chance. Like I'm on vacation right now. Like the next, I got some meetings and stuff, but really, this time is about finding out how I get an Ozempic hookup.
Isn't it amazing how it just like
Real.
makes
Like
people
we're
look
so rich as people that we're gonna like
I know.
we're gonna take a drug to not eat more food. That's how spoiled we are. Like
That is.
I need
why-
the opposite. I'm trying to gain weight, so you know.
I wish.
I gained a little. I used to be a guy that just was naturally in great shape. I
It's
wouldn't
just-
mind this Ozempic.
It's just like you know, yeah. You just sort of like
Yeah.
why
Maybe
not?
it's our next brand
to what
deal.
to what point? Like I'm online, I'm like, oh, if you're in the 95th percentile of this, like you're gonna live 15 years longer. It goes to the point that we were talking about before. Like I'm like, oh well, this might extend my life. With the weed, it helps you sleep. Like for me, that was a big piece of like I had to find when I was 10 years ago, I had to find a way to sleep or I was never going to get there.
Yeah.
Right? When I quit drinking. So I think a lot of
So that's
drinking is
interesting,
like
'cause
a lot of
sleep is
drinking
tough.
is to put you to sleep, especially with the ADHD. Your
Yeah, I have
mind's
ADHD.
racing. So
Dude.
it
You
helps
take
you
any
sleep.
Adderall or anything?
No, I took it for like, so I went to the psychiatrist and they're like, you can't have a job. I'm like, oh man, I got 4 jobs. What are you talking about? They're like, you're so far down the line. And then like, they always want to study me as opposed to treat me. I didn't like the medicine. It's probably fun recreationally, but like for day to day,
Oh, sure.
yeah,
I can't. I only
That's
take
my
it when I'm
genius
alone.
disappears. My genius disappears. Like I can,
The sleep thing, I need advice on. Sleep is tough. Sleep is hard. It's hard to like just stay asleep when you have a mind.
It's hard.
Very
Sleeping's hard.
Sleeping's so hard.
Melatonin, and that's actually an interesting thing with like food. Like I've become more and I like my health is not. I'm still in good shape, but like it declined because I like need to eat to sleep. Like it's like a weird. Like it used to be the opposite. I couldn't eat like and fall asleep. Now like I'm like, oh, I need like brownies and shit. Like I need a like I don't know. It's
brownies are good.
But sleeping's a
funny.
weird. Everyone has a weird method. It's very hard. Sleeping's a difficult thing.
I lay down, I sleep for 7 hours, I wake up.
You're a
See,
lucky man.
my dad's like that.
I never
I'm
was
jealous.
like that,
Yeah.
and that was
That was after you gave
that's
up
the-
drinking.
Yeah, well,
So that's
no, that
interesting.
was after I started smoking weed.
He's got to help.
Weed helps.
Yeah,
weed
is
for sure.
like-
Weed-
that's
I
a-
was
it's-
texting someone today
you
to
have
get
to-
me a new
you have
number
to-
from my guy.
Will you just go over
So
on
I'm
Union
afraid
Square,
of
man.
fucking
I need
up
to
my
get
whole-
that
I have a
to the
theory. If I
Essence
got
Club.
into weed, I wouldn't be funny, and I wouldn't know how to perform. I'd have it because
See,
I have anxiety.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Like,
weed,
you
I-
gotta ride what makes you a genius.
And
And,
also-
like, if you couldn't
Yeah.
sleep, if I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do what I do, and so that shutdown has to happen. And so, like, I shut down, I lay down, I sleep, I wake up.
I love that.
If I fall asleep
Indica?
like this, I wake up.
Indica?
I don't even know, dude. Don't
Alright.
talk. Like, how do you know? Like, what is it?
It's more the body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just go down, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's. I think it's more the routine.
Where in Brooklyn do you live, by the way?
Williamsburg,
Do you
Nice.
in a what kind of an apartment? Where's it?
high rise.
High rise. You own or rent?
I rent.
Okay, you seem.
Kent?
Yep.
You live in the Kent?
No. I live in
Kent
1N4.
Ave.
Yeah, right off of.
I love it
North
over
Fork.
there.
Yeah.
All
Like-
I know is Kent.
I like-
You guys come hang out at the pool. We'll do a poolside show.
Dude, I'd hang out.
Wait,
with
you
you
have a
any
pool over
day.
there?
Yeah, we got a pool.
Yeah, we'll kick it.
Yeah, I
over
like
there.
where you live. Dude, you're a
I
good
do
man.
too.
I
do
wish I
too.
went to UConn.
I got a. I
My
got
cousin
a.
went to UConn.
I got a. what do you call that? COVID deal. And it turns out it's rent controlled.
Oh,
Like rent, it can only go up like $200
You
a
hit
year
the
or something.
jackpot.
Oh, I mean, like
my rent just went up
my-
$800.
no, the rent on my unit down below is like $11,000.
Damn.
Never leave.
Never.
Never.
My wife said something about buying a house. I'm like, no.
Nah.
Don't.
You
Like,
guys
we
have
can
kids?
have 4 kids. We can have 4 kids in 2 bedrooms.
want
Do you guys
No,
have kids?
Not yet.
You want?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. It's.
I wouldn't know your age, by the way. You could be like 35. You could
40.
be.
I'm old, man.
You're 40?
Like, no, 46.
You're 46.
46.
You see a young. Well,
Who else is 46? Someone famous. Leo?
No, a fucking Jared Leto.
DiCaprio.
Jared Leto.
Leo's 40. Yeah. No, Leo's almost 50. He's turning 50 this
Yeah,
year.
he's turning 50.
Which got me
That's
depressed. I'm like,
insane.
fuck, I'm old.
Leo's
man.
50?
But 50's no longer old. It really is not. Like, dude.
Not with Ozempic.
No.
Nah.
No, I got these guys old.
You got to get off. You got because like the HGH, like so I deal with billionaires. I deal with guys like that all the time.
Connect
I'm
us
like,
to
and
anything.
I'm like, bro, they're all nobody, like no names, but they're all
But
like
rich,
They're
yeah.
rich, and I'm like, you look good for 55, 60. Like,
Yeah, they're on
like
shit.
you look better, yeah. But that HGH can't be good for you.
No, I'm a firm, but it's hard. Working out's hard, man. To get the energy, I used to be lit out of a fuck because of my ADD. Oh, it's up.
Speak.
Oh,
He's
well,
still.
Oh wow.
Oh, he's still recording.
Because
I
of
like-
the
this is the
this is on the other
epilogue.
pod-
This
yeah,
is
this
the
is- yeah,
epilogue.
this is-
I like-
we love
yeah.
the epilogue.
Yeah.
because of ADD though, I
Okay.
used to have to keep running and stuff, but I've changed over time. I don't have the same energy I used to have. Like maybe like I used to like
So I ran a marathon in 17. I lost a bunch of weight in 22 to try to do. I did it 12, 17. I was going to do it in 22, figuring if I can do a marathon every 5 years, I won't get too fat. But my hip's gone. So like,
Damn.
it's like whatever you can do.
Are you staying in New York or you want to go back to Rhode Island?
I think LA is.
LA?
No, don't go to LA. What do you-
LA, New York.
well, he said he likes
You can
SF.
go
You
back
like
and
places
forth.
that are dead.
I know.
SF, I like
People
as
in
a
LA
potential project. I like SF as a project. Like
LA, the
you
people-
could build a
Right.
community.
I like
You
that.
could intentionally develop.
LA's
something.
tough, man. LA's
The
an
pe-
actual.
yeah.
Here's the thing: it is beautiful, and if you don't work, I guess if you do something separate, and like I actually clinically get upset around there. It's like you do.
Shitty. It's
I
a
love
shitty place. It's
I
shitty. They
love-
call it shitty
I
heaven.
love the shittiness of
Yeah.
it.
Really? I actually
what would
kind of
you-
see you in LA.
I kinda do.
as like the good dude.
Like you can just be like, oh.
And your sober thing will fit in there. Like
I see you. I see. I know, yo. That's so true. Everyone's in a
He
program.
is LA.
Everyone's in a program in LA. Like
I never did a program. Never. even
It's
thought
tough,
about it.
man. It's
Yeah.
to LA, and something that upsets me there. One of the things I love about the road, like you go do a place in Ohio, you do a place wherever, they're so happy to have you, and like the comedy clubs, there's like a cool place. You go to LA, you're doing a show, everyone's mad, everyone's the bartender didn't get the acting gig, and then I'm like, oh, what's your name? She goes, I work before someone even introduces themselves. They're like, hey, I'm your waiter tonight, but I am an actress. And there's this stigma and like this energy. Everyone wants to be doing something, and like we're going somewhere, we're doing a show, and it's like there's like this, and that for me rubs off everywhere I go there.
Oh,
See,
I love it.
you like that.
Yeah, everybody wants to be something.
I don't know. That's so.
You know what I
funny.
mean? They
You're
just
the only
can't-
person I know.
But
LA's
I mean, like,
just
not
a-
everybody can be great.
LA's
and,
not a
like-
regular city. It's just a fake. It's a
No, but-
weird.
But do
I
you-
agree with that.
So do you like kind of the idea that around you, like
So there's a couple things. You got if you can afford to be in LA, it's nice. It's got good things. No, I just think there's an interesting vibe on the creative side.
what do you
the
want to do
urgency is
creatively
there.
that you haven't done yet?
yeah, and like what would LA bring to you?
I don't know, man. I think I'm dealing with those questions right now.
Okay.
Every day. So
Life's-
I don't know, but I
See,
mean, it'll be New York, LA. Those are like you can't be. And I'm trying. I'm working towards a deal to bring someone to the U.S. who I think is like $1 billion franchise, and
What like a
Athlete,
no artist,
like music,
no
Like
like
a-
art.
like art.
wait?
Oh,
what?
What kind of art? Like painting?
That reminds me of
cool.
Sam Young in the movie Girl Next Door.
Have you seen the movie Girl Next Door? So that's our
No.
inspo. That's so. If
It's
you
one of
want,
our influences.
Okay, so
you
if
gotta
you-
watch it. Girl Next Door.
If you do want to know about like our vision of updating, that movie, like the ending to it's our.
Why has so many people not seen that? Have you guys seen that movie? Girl Next Door.
Really with Maddie and
Is that the Oscar one with the? Like,
It's where the nerds create a porn shoot.
Oh, no.
And
He's this
you know,
great guy, and like his whole like he's just kind of like
epic movie.
yeah, it's and it
I'm
like
gonna go home and watch it.
Can I
Paul
be
Dano's
honest?
in it. Paul Dano's in it.
Paul Dano's
he
in
became
it.
a huge star. And
Huge.
Emil Hirsch is in it.
Emil Hirsch, he's the star of it. It's just a really
Alicia Cuthbert.
Yeah, all right. I know your movie. Yeah,
You know
there you
it.
go.
You know what we're
yeah. It's. I never saw it.
Watch
'cause
it tonight.
It's like too. It came
90s.
out. I'm too old to have watched that movie. Does that make sense? Like you guys are the perfect age. You're about 10 years younger than me.
Well, that
You're
was
about
peak
10 years
movies.
younger than me. You're probably in your
20.
early 30s.
no, so you say you're 46, I'm 29, I'm 17
Okay, so
years younger.
17
I'm
years.
32.
So all right. 32. Yeah, you're so 14. So you're just like that would have been you would have been older looking up at that.
What's your favorite movie you've ever
Yeah,
seen?
what is your favorite movie? Also, you look like Matt Damon. It just dawned on me.
Dude, the
Oh,
one-
no, you look like Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's brother. He looks like Stephen Baldwin.
He looks like a ball.
You look like a
I'm the Lost
Baldwin.
Baldwin brother.
Are
No,
you
it's-
related to them or no?
Do you ever
no,
get
but
that?
I was
Baldwin?
in Kansas the
Has
other
he ever
day.
gotten that Baldwin?
No, never gotten that one. I've gotten a lot. I'm a generic white guy from
No,
Boston
but you
area.
really look
But
like a Baldwin.
The other day, I'm in Kansas. 3 of us at a table.
Fuck, these guys
The
everywhere.
people working in the restaurant walk over and they go, and this is nowhere, Kansas. This is a town that is not on the map, 15 blocks. And they come over and they go, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "David?" And they're like, I can see like visual deflation, defeat. And he's like, "We all thought you were Donnie Wahlberg here."
Oh,
Who you also look
And
like.
I was like, you just call me a new kid because now
All these
12-year-old
Irish guys look the
12-year-old
same.
David, Donnie Wahlberg's the biggest person in the world at 12.
I like
years old,
Donnie
right?
Wahlberg.
Right, he's like the
That's
biggest
funny.
at 12 years old. When I'm 12 years old,
He's
7th,
giant.
8th grade, you're learning about girls, you're doing all this stuff. He's Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, he
right?
know, and
he's the biggest guy.
and he's
That's Mark
maintained
Wahlberg's
himself.
brother?
Yeah, and
Mark,
he's
so Mark
He was
bigger
bigger
than
than Mark?
Blue Bloods. Way
yeah,
bigger.
way bigger.
Yeah.
Way bigger.
And then
And-
Mark, when Mark,
Oh, so
Mark
Mark's
was an
only
underwear man.
famous. His brother got him in the
And
door.
they don't really
His
tell-
brother got him in the door.
He
right?
got him in
Yeah.
the door, and Mark, I think, like he got into trouble. His brother got him
Yeah.
out, and I think Mark like doesn't. I don't know if I heard. I forget what interview I was hearing, but like I'm like Donnie. Well, if that was my brother, I'd be so happy. That guy's just cool. He's not looking for any. He's not blue bloods.
Yeah.
Like Matt, like that's what's cool. You don't know where you're gonna end up. The guy was in New Kids on the Block. He's on
New
Blue Bloods.
Kids on the Block.
There's no
like,
rules.
Biggest band in my teen years. Biggest
New
boy
Kids
band,
on the
huge.
Block. Is
Every
that-
girl,
is that how it goes? New
every
Kids
girl
on the
in middle
Block.
school worshipped. So like for the guy to roll up and be like, "Yo, we all thought you were dying." Like he was just like the whole restaurant was destroyed.
Disappointment. Yeah,
Now the people that work with me are mad because I tell that story all the time. But
that's a
that's
funny.
mine. But
It's a
no,
crazy story. David, you're a great
David's
man.
in
I
it.
have fun.
We
He's
call
literally-
you a mensch in our
That's right.
culture.
Yeah.
Stephen.
We call
Baldwin,
you a
man.
mensch.
So I'm not Jewish,
It's
but
all
I
right.
used to live on the Upper West Side.
Yeah,
And you know
yeah.
the guys,
Yeah.
Jewish.
Very Jewish, right.
My answer's Jewy. I'm
Oh.
Jewy. Like I see how you make the mistake.
Do you still grab the menorah when they hand it to you?
No, I'm
that's
like,
not-
I'm not in, but they're
Okay.
trying. They're
I like
trying.
that.
I don't know what that cult
live in
is.
Brooklyn,
I don't
like-
know what that cult is that they're recruiting for
It's
by the subway.
It's
but,
I forget what it's called.
it's
The
a-
Orthodox.
but they all
schools are-
they see me and they are on me like.
I would not think
Oh,
you're.
they're like zoom. They're like, there's our guy.
I'd
You
be
don't
like,
look Jewish. at
70
all.
Not
seconds.
at all.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't look like Donnie Wahlberg
He
either.
looks more Jewish.
But no, and I'm like, no, just Jewy. Just like it's just the vibe.
Nah, dude,
Just
it's.
the vibe. I just got the vibe.
I have like
I
an
like it.
Italian vibe a little bit.
You do.
Yeah, I'm Jewish,
It's
but
very
you know,
close. It's very close.
It's all
culturally.
close. East Coast, right?
Long Island.
Yeah.
It's where they met.
It's where everyone meets. Everyone
I
meets
love that.
there.
Hey,
I love it, man.
great time.
Dude,
Thanks,
this
guys.
is great,
Dude,
man.
this
We
is
gotta.
fun.
Yeah, we'll
I
put it
mean,
on the YouTube. We'll put it as like the backup.
One thing I want you to ask before you wrap up: wildest or edgiest moment?
On the show?
show.
Yeah, they had that in the questions. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wait of all time.
Edgiest moment.
Edgiest moment on the show. What do you think?
Oh, I have an answer.
I mean, the first one that came to mind was probably the spin them out recently. We found out before the show she had a certain turn on that was guy spitting in her mouth.
Yeah.
And when the guy on stage went to it, some dude from the crowd got up and said, I would do it. And did it.
Wow.
It's crazy.
We actually.
Yeah, that's up there.
Insane. Yeah.
I'll do it.
Had like two.
When
had
he's
like,
a little too excited about
and
doing
he was
it.
like
Yeah.
this like foreign guy. It was like, and when it happened, we knew it was gonna go viral, and it did.
Yeah.
So
I see. I don't. That for me is like it. I don't like there. So there is a moment that's not on the internet, which it would be our biggest
in
thing.
Baltimore.
Yeah, but the girl
Yeah, that
had
was
there was an
crazy.
issue, and I do respect if someone does say I don't want something, but yeah, a guy was rejected, or no, the blindfolds came off. They actually were a good match too, which is what there was like a build up and like they were into each other. Their blindfolds came off, you know, were like mid show, and you hear Pete from the crowd, like you know, he has like a
He dated my friend.
He dated my friend, like, and so I hear that, I go, oh, like he, you know, I'm like, oh, this is a good thing. Let's go in here, date your friend, like why, like what's going on, and like. She's like, well, like he dated my friend and he has a really big problem. I'm like, well, now you gotta tell us. So I'm like, can you come up? And I even I'm like, do you want to come up? You know, like she comes up and I go, what's his problem? Like, what's the deal here? And I see he kind of knows her. He's like, well, he dated my friend and like he has like a really bad porn addiction. I go, oh, so does everyone here. And then she goes, no, like he like, you know, he would go, like he'd be sitting with her family
at like
dinner
Thanksgiving
and like go into the bathroom. I'm like, oh, okay, but and then like the guy was like shaking, like, and he was also like yeah, and then
man, something happened with you kids, man. The internet,
yeah,
it's
and
crazy.
So then the best part's coming. The girl, like I'm like, okay, I may be even missing a part, but I look at her. And then like she looks at me.
No, it's like, do you have anything to say? And then she just starts crying.
Hysterically crying and ran
on
off
stage.
the stage.
And then
the other girl.
Yeah.
The girl that was dating her.
The friend of the girl who was
that
dating
came up.
him. Yeah.
The girl that came up who just revealed all of this, like she just started like it was I'm like, wait, am I like having an outer body? No one's ever cried on our stage. And it was like she runs into the crowd, like I guess she's with her boyfriend, and like they get up and they run out, and I look at the crowd, I'm like, wow, like that, we're all very uncomfortable, but the audience handled it great, and like, but we never put it out. Like I think there was probably
that's
some
fair. That's a
issue
good
going
business
on.
decision.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
virality.
That would be interesting.
Virality. You got a platform that creates certain virality moments. How does that impact your business?
In a lot of ways. When something goes viral, more tickets sell, more fans are created. It's kind of a and then more people will watch the long form episodes. It's a we call it the flywheel. It's a symphony.
It's a symphony. Like it drives people to then go to YouTube, but then it drives people to, you know, buy tickets. It gives you visibility. There's no negative, but the content's got to be, like I said, like that moment would go viral. I don't know if someone crying I don't know if I want that.
No.
I personally don't think that's a good thing but like,
that's a little,
but it's putting out fun viral stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah. And final thing I'll say there.
The spit in the mouth, that's kind of fun.
That's
crazy.
fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Well,
Yeah.
A lot of these TikTokers, they go viral. There's no call to action, right? They just get followers.
100%.
Like for us, it's you buy a ticket.
I think
so that's what I would recommend for a 16-year-old. Like go viral, but what's the call to action?
And also virality, like I will say, and I will say, we have like our agent and some people are like, this was when we started. They're like, you guys don't want that now. You don't have. I'm like, what are you talking about? We want to be viral. Like now that there is a business to fall on, I will say, if I was having viral moments and nothing was coming and it's just shooting out, like I would be really upset. That's a depressing thing. Like to just have like content that gets a ton of views for no rhyme or reason and there's no real fan. Like I think you want everything to shoot into something. That is like, regardless, man, a product.
Really important. David.
Dude.
Fun.
You are a legend.
Yeah, guy's a legend.
Yeah,
man.
this
Long
is,
Island.
we're going to
Only in
repost.
Long Island.